Mishnah Bet. We're almost done with Muktzeh. You're noticing? This is the end of Muktzeh. Mishnah, I think this is the last Muktzeh one. Let me see. Yeah, this is the last Muktzeh. Oh. Maybe Mishnah Gimel is also Muktzeh? No, Mishnah Gimel is the last Muktzeh. This is the real last Muktzeh though. הרישא של משנתנו בא ללמד, the beginning of the Mishnah comes to teach us, שדבר שסתמו אינו ראוי למאכל בהמה, that something that you're not going to give it to an animal to eat, אם מוכן מערב שבת למאכל בהמה, but if you prepared it from before Shabbat for an animal to eat, then מותר לטלטלו בשבת. Even though animals don't usually eat it, but you prepared it before Shabbat, then you will be allowed to give it in Shabbat. ובסייפא דנה המשנה בבעלי חיים, in the end the Mishnah going to tell us about animals, שאסור לטלטלם בשבת. You're not allowed to move an animal on Shabbat. כיצד נוהגים בהם? So since we're practical, people live on farms, so how are you going to do? An animal runs away, what do? You just let him run away on Shabbat. What do you do with it?
Exactly.
Okay, so that we're going to learn. חבילי קש וחבילי עצים, bundles of hay and bundles of wood, חבילות של קש ושל עצים, וחבילי זרדים, וחבילות של ענפים אילן רכים, and also bundles of soft trees. אם התקינן למאכל בהמה, if before Shabbat you prepared it for your animals to eat, אם הכין אותם אדם ערב שבת לשם מאכל בהמה. In other words, most people use these bundles for burning. They don't use these bundles for food. Oh. But you said, you know what, I have enough wood, I'm going to take these bundles, I'm going to prepare them for my animals. You change the way of it. If it's for burning, you're not allowed to touch it. But I prepared it for food, am I allowed to touch it? מטלטלים אותם בשבת. You're allowed to move it on Shabbat. ואם לאו, אם לא התקינה מערב שבת לבחל, if you didn't prepare it for your animals, in other words, it's not for animals now, it's not food. אין מטלטלים אותם, you do not touch them. שחבילות אלו סתם עומדות להסקה, because we're going to assume this is for burning, this is not for food. ויש עליהם תורת מוקצה, and burning is not allowed on Shabbat, so therefore they are מוקצה. Another one, we did it before. Okay. You remember we had the Mishnah that when you have a candle which is dripping oil, you're not allowed to put a vessel underneath it, because if you put a vessel underneath it, now you're not allowed to move the vessel. So you took a vessel that you are allowed to use on Shabbat, and now you took it, you said now you cannot use it because there's oil in it. Okay. Yeah? So this is going to be the same concept. לא מבטלים כלי מהיכנו. You're not going to take a vessel that is good for use and make it not allowed to be used, not allowed to be moved. The oil is dripping on it, now it's not allowed to be moved. So this is going to be exactly the same thing. Over here, it's going to be different. It says there are some times where you'll be allowed to do that. When? כופין את הסל לפני האפרוחים. You can take a basket and you have small chicks and they're too young to jump into the chicken coop. You know, chicken coop is usually high so that the animals won't get to them. They're too young, they cannot jump into it. So you're allowed to take a basket, like to put a step, and put it upside down so that the chicks can jump, make it into a step so they can go out it. He says, hey, what, 1 second? We said you take an instrument and you are going to nullify it. How are you nullifying it? The animal itself is what? Is muktzeh. Just like the oil. If the oil is muktzeh, the animal is muktzeh. So you taking it and you're putting an animal on top of it, you making it now, taking it out of its use. So it says that you made it into a step for an animal. Are you allowed to do that? So he says you are allowed to do that. כופים את הסל לפני האפרוחים. You're allowed to turn over a basket in front of the chicks. Let's see why. כלומר, שאף על פי שהאפרוחים אסורים, even though these chicks, these chickens, are prohibited, just like oil, just like candle, they're prohibited in movement, מכל מקום כופים את הסל לפניהם. Nevertheless, you're allowed to put the basket in front of them. כדי שיעלו וירדו. so that they will have an easy access to the chicken coop. שיעלו על הסל וירדו ממנו. That they're going to go up and down. Why? שלדעת התנא של משנתנו, because according to the Tana of our Mishnah, כלי ניטל בשבת, you're allowed to take a vessel on Shabbat, אף לצורך דבר שאינו ניטל. Even for something that is not permitted. Interesting. ואין זה נקרא שמבטל כלי מהיכנו. And we're not going to consider it like he's disqualifying this vessel anymore. He's taking this vessel out of use of Shabbat. How? שהרי האפרוחים אינם נשארים אליו. It says it's different than the oil that we discussed before. The oil is going to stay there the entire Shabbat. That's right. But over here, it's just for 2 seconds. In other words, that's right. And after that, it doesn't stay on it the entire Shabbat. So it's different. Therefore, I will allow you to do it.
He didn't ruin the vessel.
That's right. He didn't take it out of Tashmish completely.
Out of Tashmish.
ברם, בת, אם עמדו על הסל בין השמשות, if at the time that Shabbos came in, the chickens were on top of him, at the time that Shabbos comes in, then he will agree with you, that's it, it's over. Because you go by the time that Shabbos came in. So on the time that Shabbos came in, this vessel was not allowed to be moved, at that moment it's not allowed to be moved the entire Shabbat.
Oh, because you used it for a particular melacha, for something for the efrochim.
That's right, the efroch, even though the efroch went off it after Shabbat, after 2 minutes, it doesn't matter. It's just like
the designate.
It's just like candles on the table. Even though the candles are not lit anymore, you're still not allowed to move the table. The same thing over here. I know the efroch is not there, the chick is not there anymore. But because he was there when Shabbos came in, now the entire Shabbos it's not allowed. Okay. כיוון שהוקצה לבין השמשות, הוקצה לשבת כולה. Because once it becomes the base, when Shabbos comes in, it becomes the base for the entire Shabbat. ולדעת הסובר, and according to the one who thinks שאין כלי ניטל בשבת, אלא לצורך דבר הניטל, but some say, hey, you're not allowed to. You're only allowed to use the vessel, for something which is permissible. In other words, you take this basket and use it for something else. Put bread in it, because you're allowed to eat bread. Or put something which you're allowed to move, hay in it. I don't care, something that's allowed. You cannot put something which is forbidden in it. So according to him, how does he understand the Mishnah? According to this guy. מתפרשת משנתנו בצריך למקומו של הסל. So he says, the guy is moving the basket not because he wants the place. He doesn't want the basket over there. So he takes the basket, he needs the space where the basket is. So he takes the basket and now he's allowed to put it wherever he wants. He says that's the way he has to learn it, because otherwise he will not be allowed to do it. ושהוא מפנה ומניחו לפני האורחים. In other words, if he doesn't need the space of the basket, he cannot do it. The first guy says, even if he doesn't need the space of the basket, he's allowed to do it. The second guy says, only if he needs the space of the basket, then he's allowed to do it and put it wherever he wants afterwards. Okay. Now we're going to come to practical things. How did the people deal with the animals on Shabbat? Yeah, so let's see. תרנגולת שברחה, a chicken that ran away on Shabbat. והרי אסור לטלטלה בשבת. You're not allowed to pick it up. She ran away to the public domain. And you're going to carry it from the public domain. First of all, you're not allowed to carry 4 feet in the public domain. And for sure, you're not allowed to take the animal into your house, into your boundary, into your yard. So it says, what do? דוחים אותה בידיים. It says, you're not allowed to pick it up. But you know what you're allowed to do? You're allowed to touch it. You're allowed to push it. Kick it. Whatever. Move it.
Go like this.
Go like this. Go like this. Yeah, exactly. Even touch it. Even touch it. דוחים אותה. You're allowed to push it on Shabbat. You're allowed to touch it on Shabbat. You're not allowed to pick it up, but you're allowed to touch it. דוחים אותה בידיים עד שתיכנס למקומה. Until it answers to its place. אבל אין מדדים אותה. But you don't מדדה אותה. What's מדדה אותה? It's you hold it by the wings. No. You hold it by the wings and it goes like this. Like this. Because practically it's going to pick up both. Sometimes if you're holding it by the wing, it's going to pick up both legs and then you're carrying. Yeah. אבל אין מדדים, כלומר שאין אוחזים בגפיה כדי להכניסה למקומה. You're not to push, you're not to pick. Don't hold her. You can push it. You're not allowed to pick it. לפי שהתרנגולת מגביה עצמה מן הארץ, because once you picked it up, it will lift up its legs and then you're done. ונמצא כאילו מטלטלה, and then you find that you're actually picking her up. ואפילו בחצר אסור לדדותו מאותו טעם. Even in your own yard, you're not allowed to pick it up because it's מוקצה. מדדין עגלים וסייחים. You're also allowed to do it with cows and with horses, with donkeys, whatever you have. ברשות הרבים בשבת, in the public domain on Shabbat. כלומר, says, how would you do that? Now, a donkey or a cow, you don't have a problem of picking it up. You can't pick it up. So it says, so how do you move it? Easy. אוחזים באוזניהם, take an ear, and take him by the ear, like it says. Grab his ear and walk him. And you're not afraid you're picking him up. You can't pick up a cow or a zeu.
The thing there, if they have the thing,
Yeah, if they have a thing, you can lead them by the thing. Yeah, if he has one. If maybe he doesn't have. Yeah. Where are we? בשבת, כלומר שאוחזים באוזניהם ובצוואריהם, you're allowed to use the ear, to put the ears or the necks, ומסייעים להם ללכת, and you help them to walk. שאין לחשוש שמא יגביאו עצמם ונמצא מטלטל. עובדה, you're not worried you're going to pick them up. In other words, you can grab it, not like a chicken. בנוסח המשנה שבגמרא אין התיבות ברשות הרבים. The Gemara doesn't say in the public domain. אישה מדדה את בנה. It says, what happens if your 2-year-old ran into the public domain? How are you going to get back him home? So he says a woman is allowed to hold him, like really hold him, and his feet are going to this. But then, it's a problem. Maybe he's going to pick up his legs, just like the chicken. So let's see. באישה מדדה את בנה, כלומר שאוחזותו בזרועותיו, she picks him up by both arms, ומליכה אותו. And he walks. But sometimes, if she picks him up with both arms, he picks up both legs. אף ברשות הרבים, even in the public domain. אמר רבי יהודה says, מתי, when, מותר לאישה לדדות את בנה, a woman is allowed to move her son this way, בשבת on Shabbat, בזמן שהוא נוטל אחת ומניח אחת. As long as he knows how to pick up one foot and put down another foot. And if he picks up, it's a mistake once if he does. But if he doesn't know how to do it, then she's not allowed to. Then it's carrying. שהתינוק עוקר רגל אחת ומגביה מן הארץ מניח רגל אחת. As long as he knows how to walk to some extent. Doesn't have to be a perfect walker, but he needs to at least go through the motions. אבל אם היה גורר רגליו בארץ ואינו מגביהם, but if he's so small, he doesn't even know how to walk, she just drags him, אסור, then she's not allowed to. לדדותו, שנמצאת האישה נושאת את בנה, that it's considered like carrying now. ובתינוק שאינו יחל ללכת ברגליו, what about the baby crawled out, and now he's in the public domain, what do you do with him now? That's it, he's stuck over there the entire Shabbat. So he says, בתינוק שאינו יכול ללכת ברגליו, אין אומרים. So the baby that cannot walk with his legs, we do not say, חי נושא את עצמו. That he is carrying himself. He's only carrying himself when he can actually walk. והלכה כרבי יהודה, and the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, שלא בא לחלוק על התנא קמא אלא לפרש דבריו. He doesn't come to go against תנא קמא, he comes to explain his ways. And what do you do if a baby crawled outside? We don't know yet.
No, you don't know how to...
We don't know what to do with him. If it's dangerous, of course you're allowed to do whatever. But here we're not talking about not dangerous. What do you do? I don't know, it's a question. Maybe you need to make him crawl back. Help him crawl back. So we can say... First of all, a baby doesn't go away far if he doesn't know how to. And second of all, also, you know what you're allowed to do. You don't have to hold his legs, his hands. You can take a foot, you know, even if it's crawling, you can take the back foot, put it down, right foot, put it down.
Oh.
And this when you make sure that he's on the ground all the way home. So the problem is
Like
to
a
lift.
chicken.
The,
Go like this.
exactly. You can even, don't push him because as the nigrar.
Yeah.
But you can pick up the one leg and put it down. Put the other, that you're allowed to. If you called out 10 meters out of the house, you can allow to put it back down. Okay, let's stop over here.